Rightio, so starting off with our groundwork, we want what groundwork that we do, we want it to be able to translate and help us out when we get into the saddle. Just before we start with that, if you're doing groundwork, don't wear your boots and spurs unless you know it's going to be quick. If you're doing a proper session of it, just wear something that you're not going to get tripped up with, and if you've got steel caps, then that's a bonus. Saves your feet getting stepped on, and just something that's a bit more comfortable that you can spend more time on the ground. But with the groundwork, there's only really three main things that we need the horse to do. We need it to stand still so we can saddle it and catch it. We want to be able to float load the horse, and we want to be able to tie up the horse. Those three things are probably the most important groundwork things that we need to get to. So when you go, and I'm going to go through catching a horse because I see people do it in a way that means if they ever catch not a quiet horse that they're going to lose all their teeth. So I would like to keep you all safe from doing that. But when we're going to go catch a horse, and then at the start, these thinner rope halters are the best because they give us the most leverage. Now, it's not that the thinness of the rope is actually what turns the horse or makes it yield, it's the feel that makes them soft. But if the horse isn't going to be soft and isn't going to yield, well, a thinner rope halter will help give us, stack our deck more. So when we go to catch a horse, get organised, have the tail of your rope, the loop, and then the halter, nose piece with the tail already in this hand. Now when I go to catch this horse, the little trick is that if he decides to move off, I want to steal his idea and then make it my idea to move off. So if I approach him and let's say he wants to move off, I'll make him move off. If he moves off, well, I just stole his idea about moving off. So instead of him leaving me, I sent him away. All right, and just see if we can get him stopped here. And looking at his mates, but that'll be fine. So when we walk up to our horse, walk up with our arm out already. It feels dumb and you'll forget to do it, but the problem is that we walk at like say 1k an hour, but then we lift our hand at 4. If our hand's already lifted out, we're not doing that quick movement to the horse to frighten him. And with your old horse, probably doesn't matter. With a young horse, with a touchy horse, it could make the difference. And so when we come up to the horse, approach it in a way that he can't get us, and I'll go through more of that later, and cover his eye. Because if the horse won't let you wipe the gunk out of his eye, he's not actually ready to be caught yet. So if we can rub the gunk out of his eye, and then we've got contact to his neck, we can go over and underneath, and then I've already got the tail, then I'll just put his nose in like that. Now at any stage how I've caught this horse, if he goes to leave, all he's going to do is push me away. And yeah, so all he's going to do is push me away. But yeah, to put that halter on, so cover the eye, contact over the neck, grab the tail, which is already prepared in your hand. You got the tail, just put his nose in. And if you have to rub him on his face to get that halter up, then that's fine. You might as well, if he was going to leave, he's going to leave anyway. That shouldn't worry him. And then over, and then with an underhand hitch here. Right, all well and good. Tail's always in my hand. Anything that can happen, and I'm safe because I'm here out of the way. Now it's a very aggressive stance by a horse to come at you front on. Now your old broke horse, he's been here a million times, doesn't matter anywhere near as much because they're going to approach you with soft feet and a soft demeanour, generally with their head down. But from here, we catch a horse from here, which is where a lot of people like to, oh, what a good boy, pat their horse. He's got all his main weapons pointing at us. He's got his striker and his biter and his runner over here, all pointed at me. So this is a very vulnerable spot for me to be in, and a very dominant position for him to be. And this here, the point of their shoulder is their main defence. It's also the least costly, and it's also got plausible deniability to go along with it. Oh, I didn't mean to, I was just so on and so forth. They mean to get you with that shoulder. Plus it's not a lot of effort of having to actually strike and make that decision. So, where I want this horse to be, hang on mate, go that way. I need the horse to be comfortable with me being here. This is his most vulnerable spot. He can't get me with his front end defences, and he can't get me with his kicker at the back. And right here is where he's at his most vulnerable. That's where the mountain lion grabs him on top. That's where the wolf gets him underneath his belly. So right here is where he's got no defences at all. He's got no weapons pointed at me. Plus this is also the spot where we need to be to saddle up and to get on. So with the groundwork, right, it's no different to the riding. We break the horse down into the 10 parts of him. Both sides of his hips, both sides of his ribs, both sides of his shoulders, head and neck, forwards and backwards. We need to control all of them. And so we'll start, the easiest thing to move is his hips. So we'll start from there. And then this is also how we can make the horse to choose to let us be here in his most vulnerable spot, because the choice is either be submissive and yield to me being here in your vulnerable spot, or your feet go to work, you have to move again. Right, so, and with this, just bumping the face and moving the front feet. The front feet always have to come in front of one another. Your front feet are moving. This horse likes to get really bent with his neck, but that's okay. And then, so we add pressure, we get a response, and then we release. And we release when the horse has got soft feet and when we are in his vulnerable spot. So that's pretty good. This horse has obviously done it a million times before, and he's not really appreciative of having to do it. He's like, just get on and ride me. But he has to go through because he's a demonstration horse. And again, what we want to get to with this, and where we need to start making the translations from groundwork into riding, is this is where we start the irresistible aid from. So the inside rein, inside leg to kick their hips. We can start that here. Right? So we can put our hand up higher here, like we're going to be in the saddle, and then we can bump, 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 and the hind end goes. And I'll take the pressure off. I'm not actually asking him to do anything, and then I'm not asking you to do anything, and then he'll stop when I'm in his vulnerable spot. And then I'll make friends with him by patting his eye. And I don't know if you could see there how I turned my body to the horse just out of habit, so that if he does go anywhere, if he does kick me, he's going to kick me in the arse or in the back, not in my front. Or get pushed over. I'm going to get pushed forward rather than getting pushed backwards. Right, so the irresistible aid, where we start, bump the front end, bump, 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 and to push the back end away. Make those hips get in front of you. If the hips start to go behind, they start to cross over behind, which I probably can't make this horse do. Anytime a horse goes backwards from you, it's avoiding. Anytime the horse wants to run, go forward away from you, not yield, not move laterally, he's leaving. And any time that the horse comes back towards you, well, he's just telling you where to go. So yeah, It's the start of the irresistible aid, which we'll build on as we get further and further, and how useful it is. But is bump, bump, bump with the nose, the hind feet, and the hind feet have to move inside. So that this back foot is going in front of that back foot. So we've got that both sides, our hips both sides. We just work our way forward with our hips. And when we're ready to move on, when I can push those shoulders away from me, right? So the horse wants to, like we've taught the horse how to start to stop, how to start to contain himself to want to stop. So pressure, response, release. And when we just keep going at that until we can bump, 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 and we can get those front feet to move away, forward. Now at the start, when you're doing with this horse, they'll plant one foot, they'll plant the other front foot, they'll get their head up into you, but you just need to keep going until you can drift those front feet away. And when we're talking about that one-step control, well, it can start here too. Right? I just want one step. Oh, I sort of got a side pass there rather than the hips, mate. One step. No, one step, there we go. So when we can start to control the horse one step at a time, it's not us controlling the horse, it's the horse controlling itself and we're directing it. We're getting back to these front feet moving. When I can start to drift those front feet away from me, right, then I start to change sides and walk that front end through. And then I'll step back in here and bump his hips. See the front feet, like the back feet are making big lateral movements, they're crossing over and the front feet are drifting away from me. And I can change hands and push his front end through. Same thing, bump his back end, front feet go away, change hands, push his front end through. You see how I'm starting to get a bit of side pass there? Which is what we want. We want to be able to control where this horse goes. Bump his front end through. Nice. Now, see that? Almost didn't do it out of habit. Like turn your back to the horse's feet. Rub his eye. Now, while we rub the eye rather than patting him, well, if I've just chased this horse pretty hard and I start patting him like this, well, he's not going to want to stand here for that. But if I rub his eye, he has to be submissive. He has to be yielding. Because I'm taking away his primary defence, which is to actually see what's coming at him. So take away his eyes, he can't see. He has to be here with me and yielding, like in a responsive frame of mind. So with getting this front end to move, right, bump his hips, bump his hips, bump his hips around, front end to go. See if I can walk that front end away from me. Obviously this horse has done it before, it takes quite a bit of work to get that to happen. But now I can isolate the back end and the front end. If you're having a lot of trouble getting just that front end to move, then you can teach him how to side pass being a combination of hips and shoulders. So it's a lot easier. We're taking it in stages, so we're going hips and shoulders rather than just trying to isolate the shoulders. And so to help you out, use the edge of the rail to help you like walk that front end away from you. And then when his hips get too late and they get too close, you just chase his hips up. Walk his front end away, and then chase his hips up, walk his front end away, chase his hips up. Right. And then all the time he needs to stop on soft feet and let me be in his vulnerable area. Mate, let me be in your vulnerable area. Right, so hips, ribs, shoulders. We're getting head and neck as we go here because he has to give his head and neck to be able to yield those other parts. So we've got See, we've broken down, we've got some control over the hips, the ribs and the shoulders. We can now sort of manipulate this horse around. Now this next exercise is called the sending thing, and I stole that name from Clinton Anderson, and you'll see in a minute that, so as we go along, it's exactly the same as what we were doing, right? What we were doing out here, bumping his hips, changing his front end, bumping his hips, changing his front end. But now, now we're going to do it against the rail. And so I want my feet to start to move less. I can make his feet move out there by making my feet move, whereas here I want to start to get that my feet don't have to move anywhere near as much. So to start against the rail, it's just the same. Push him out there, bump his hips around, shoulders come through, chase him up, bump out there. But what this does, and the better he gets at this, the closer I can stand to that rail, and the more claustrophobic I can make it. We're prepping this horse up to be float loaded. It's not a lot of difference between putting a horse on a float and doing this if your horse can walk in that width that's only sort of 1.5 times himself. The ascending exercise. And then I can ask this horse, and then I can stop asking him, and if he stops, see look, he stops where he's the most vulnerable. That's because I've taught him back there. And one-step control. Oh. Oh. Well done. The other thing that I found with this too is that it's exactly the same as tying up, except for now my hands move, so I make it a lot easier. And one step, right, good. So from here, the next part of the getting them prepped for the float loading is that now I can start to lead them around the yard from here. And then once you can get them leading around the yard, like using the outside of that yard to help you, see how I've got this hand here and I can chase him with my other hand. Once you start to get it that you can lead them off, that you can lead them around using the rail to help you, we'll then lead them through the middle without the rail to help you. And then I can bring him around me. I can bring him around me, but now I can also push him away from me. Now I can drive him forward. So the float's over there, I can lead him up there, or I can correct him about where he wants to go. No, now forward again. The other thing that really gets overlooked about when we're float loading a horse is the ability to back them off the float easily. Right, so once we get them so that we can lead them forward, just back them off the rail. Back them along the rail, use the rail to help you out, and it's just bump, bump, bump. We don't want the horse to start like rushing backwards, stepping on themselves, panicking themselves. We just want them to one step at a time. One step. That was 2 steps. One step, one step, one step. So if you've prepped your horse before you float load him and you have all of this down pat, float loading is going to be nothing. Forwards one, back one. Forwards one, back one. It takes away all the pressure of that horse like rushing back off the float. We can actually train this horse to want to get on the float then. And yeah, and then once you can back your horse around that rail, like so, we'll now back him off the rail so that I can push his front end around and I can back him wherever I need to back him. Right, so you back him around the rail. When you've got that going good, now we can back him wherever we want because we can push his front end around. So we just use the rail to help us to get started. Push his front end up and around. Now I can back him in here. But yeah, the importance of having this, like being able to control the horse's feet one step at a time makes a hell of a difference. That, you know, the float is not going to be a scary thing if you've prepped. If you can do all this and you can prep your horse, well then there's nothing scary about being on a float, because he's already been in a confined space. He already knows how to walk forwards and backwards, left and right. I can move his front end away from me. Like, it's not, none of this should panic a horse, because now he's being used to being told what to do, where to go. Right. So that's prepping him up for float loading, but also this sending exercise is just the same as being tied up. It's a really good prep for being tied up, because he still has to do the same thing to achieve, like, the release off the halter. He has to know how to stand still. He has to know how to move his feet forward and bend his head and move his feet to get himself out of trouble and out of the way. So it's a very good precursor to being tied up, which is, you know, float loading and tying up is some of the main troubles that you see with horses, and it's mostly because they've never been prepped for them. They're just like, oh, I'll just put you on the float. Oh, I'll just tie you up. Well, the horse doesn't have the answers that he needs to know. They're pretty simple answers. Give your face, move your feet. But if we have never shown him how to get it done, well, we're asking him questions that he doesn't know the answer to, which we do not want to do. So I'm just going to do the sending exercise just now in reverse with his tied up. When you're tying a horse up for the first time, or if you don't know the horse, or if you think he's going to be a bit touchy, give him enough rope that he doesn't get hung up on it, but so that he can correct his own mistakes. We don't want to tie him up so short that he's only got millimetres to make mistakes. We want to have it so that he can actually travel a bit, feel it coming, and give himself time to move his feet out of the way, to give his face and move his feet out of the way. All right, so here he is, he's stopped in not a dominant position to me, but I would like that pushed over, so we just move him around. Hips all the way to the rails. We can start to get him so that he'll walk up that one step. Now I can push his hips. I want to push his hips all the way to the rail. And then I can walk the horse up to the end of the halter. No, push his hips all the way to the rail. Oh, there we go. Now the fact that I can now control this horse, move him forwards and backwards one step, and here he puts me into a spot where he's at his most vulnerable. He's quite happy me being here. His head's a little bit on the rope, but that also means that he can't get to me. But if you can get your horse and you prep your horse up that it can handle all of this, well, tying up shouldn't be an issue. And if I was to fix a horse that has a bad tying up problem, this would be like, I'd give him the answers that he needs to know. Can he move his feet, move all 4 feet and yield his face? And will he stop where he's vulnerable and I'm not? There we go. Right, so yeah, I wouldn't leave the horse this long to actually tie him up. But when I'm just working him on the ground, I'd give him a bit more rope, give him the benefit of the doubt. Right, shorten him up to about here if I want to leave him. Probably tie that halter up a little bit tighter. Right, now we know that this horse is now been prepped, that this horse knows how to be tied up, that if anything panics him, he knows how to go forward one step, he knows how to give to the halter, right? He knows that he can come forward off the halter, he knows that he can bend himself around to get out of the way, right? So if you prep your horse with all of this stuff so that he knows how to give his face, move his feet, and be able to stand still, tying up shouldn't be a problem. We're going to move on to saddling now. Just a word of this. When we're to saddle a horse tied up, you have to be very, very cautious of it, because really it doesn't give you anywhere to go. If that horse jumps forward, like if I'm saddling him up here, that horse jumps forward, hits the end of the rope, all he's going to do is swing his ass and pin me against the wall. Same as if I've got him, if he's over here and I'm saddling him up, the only place he's going to go is, the only place he can go is to run forward. Pull back, run forward, hit me, knock me down. There is no real safe spot to be if you're saddling a horse tied up. Much better off to check that your horse ties up, untie him, saddle him and tie him back up again. Or unsaddle him, move his feet around, make sure that he's not going to react to the girth badly, tie him back up again. You just have to be very, very certain that the horse is broke to A, being saddled and B, being tied up before you ever bother to attempt this, because there's just no way that you don't get hurt if it goes wrong. All right.